I've always been pretty obsessed with the Titanic, and recently, following a journey across the Atlantic on the world's last ocean liner, I made my way up through England and flew over to Belfast, Northern Ireland. Not only did we get to check out the city's incredible Titanic Museum, but I also wanted to stay in the unique Titanic-themed hotel, which is housed within the converted former offices of Harland and Wolff, Titanic's original builders. So join me today as we check into one of the most unique hotels I've ever stayed in, and see if it's worth the money. So our trip to the UK was one that was very ocean liner themed. We arrived in Southampton after sailing the North Atlantic aboard the Queen Mary 2, the world's last ocean liner, and it was quite the journey. I of course made a video about it if you want to see what I thought. From there we rented a car, drove to London for a quick overnight stop, then made the long journey up the English coast, stopping in the small town of Alnwick, then to Edinburgh, where we'd hop on a quick flight to Belfast. Now, the country town of Alnwick was certainly on the list of places to stop, because this small, beautiful town is home to a massive piece of ocean liner history. That's because in 1935, when Titanic's sister ship, the RMS Olympic, was being scrapped in England, her interiors were being auctioned off. The owner of a small hotel in Alnwick, called the White Swan, would ultimately win the bid for various fittings, including the entire first-class lounge. Upon doing so, he would construct a custom extension to the hotel and rebuild the lounge nearly exactly as it was aboard the ship. So obviously I had to see it for myself. The lounge now acts as a restaurant, and it is spectacular. Its craftsmanship is unlike anything I've ever seen, and just imagining it at sea, it's so surreal. If you have the opportunity, definitely make the trip out to go see this. And also spend some time in Alnwick. It's a beautiful country town, and since the White Swan doesn't exactly have the greatest reviews, we chose to stay at the Cookie Jar in their largest room, the Church Suite, which was of course so cool. I had actually planned to make a video here, but unfortunately we just ran out of time. Also, my thoughts weren't very nuanced about this hotel, as it was just generally small, but still very nice. I do otherwise highly recommend this hotel. Now, upon landing in Belfast, we took a ride over to the Titanic Quarter. It's located in the northern end of the city, along the River Lagan, which of course leads out into the ocean. It's a place where a lot of maritime history took place. Harland and Wolff was an iconic shipbuilder, which has since fallen on some hard times. But it was once a shipbuilding powerhouse where massive ocean liners were built, like the Titanic and her sisters. For administrative uses, a large office building was constructed between 1885 and 1917. This building housed various executive offices, as well as cavernous drawing rooms where naval architects designed on paper by hand all of their ships. This is where the Olympic-class liners were designed. Several decades later though, in 1989, the office would be vacated, and for decades later, the building would slowly decay away. It wouldn't be until 2013 when a new hotel was announced that would involve a full restoration of the offices and cost around $36 million USD. And after nearly 4 years, the 119-room boutique hotel would open in 2017, and since I've only seen fairly positive reviews. So since our destination was Belfast, and since we wanted to check out the museum, I thought it made perfect sense to try out this hotel. We booked an executive room located in the newer lodging building. Upon first impressions, this room is a good size with nice amenities throughout. Now, we unfortunately arrived after the early winter sunset, so the room does come off as pretty dark. Despite the large floor-to-ceiling windows, the textures and materials do skew a bit darker. I think that works with the overall theme they were going for here. A sort of industrial shipbuilding-esque design that features a lot of steel, leather, and rivets. And for a 4-star hotel, I think this room provided a good amount for its price point. When you first walk in, you'll notice the custom carpets with the hotel's logo cleverly inlaid in it. You'll also notice a pretty basic desk area and closet. Nothing too extensive, but very functional, along with a premium coffee maker that also features Walker's cookies. I love that. Now, the actual bed is nothing too special. I'd say it was a decently comfortable mattress with decently comfortable linens. The bedside tables don't have any easily accessible power outlets, however they do come with complimentary glass bottles of water, which is a huge plus. Further on in the room is another small sitting area around a little window nook. Aside from the interesting textiles, there's also vintage reproduction posters and shipbuilding schematics of various ships that were built by Harland and Wolff. It really does create such a unique theme in here. That also extends onto the TV, as the hotel even has their own station that plays interviews from various Titanic historians. minutes, laying in bed, about to fall asleep in what used to be the iconic Harland and Wolff offices, all while looking out the windows at the massive gantry cranes and watching the curated station about Titanic. I suppose I really was in heaven. That is, until I made it to the bathroom. The bathroom in this room is pretty weird. Not only was it massive, it was also a little dirty and not super functional. Aesthetically, I actually do like the look of it, but when you take a closer analysis, there is a decent amount of grime and mold around some of the faucet heads and in the grout across the floor. The bathtub/shower is that horrible exposed design where water gets everywhere, all while the tub itself is elevated above the floor and is extremely shallow and flimsy. But before we take a look at amenities here, I want to take a quick moment and thank this video's sponsor, Airlo, the world's first eSIM store. If you're traveling abroad, you know how annoying and expensive it is to use cellular data while roaming in a different country. Airlo makes that all so much easier, and in some cases cheaper, as all you need to do is download the Airlo app, select the country or region you're planning on visiting, and purchase a convenient eSIM with the amount of data you plan on using. It's all digital, so there's no physical SIM card sent to you, causing delays and waste, and you also get to keep your same phone number. Airlo offers networks in over 200 countries and regions, and they even offer global eSIMs, which is extremely convenient for those planning to visit multiple different countries. For years, I've just been eating the cost of what my home ISP has been charging for daily roaming fees. Airlo has now made this extremely convenient and cheap. So if you want to try it out for your next trip abroad, you can download Airlo today with the link in the description and use my code BrightSunTravels to get $3 USD off your first eSIM. That's code BrightSunTravels for $3 USD off your first eSIM. But let's get back to the hotel. Titanic Hotel has a lot more to offer than just what's in the room. Even the hallways are uniquely themed, with the distinct White Star Line linoleum tiling on the floors, and a really neat room number design displayed alongside each door. When you make your way down to the ground floor, there really is so much to see and do. The lobby area and the rooms surrounding it have all largely been restored, and are therefore very well preserved from what they used to be. Most spectacular of which are the drawing rooms, the large halls where naval architects and engineers hand drew the plans for all of their ships. Today, the spaces have been largely restored to their original design. Drawing room number 1 now serves as an event space with a few Titanic artifacts displayed, while drawing room number 2 is the hotel's main bar and lounge. It's a really lively space, and on select evenings, live music is played here. Adjacent to it is the main lobby, a comparatively modern area adorned with local art, comfortable seating, and complimentary provisions. During the holidays, they had mulled wine, chocolate, and little pies on offer, all complimentary, which was really genuinely great to see. But since this is a boutique hotel within a restored building dating back to 1885, there isn't a whole lot in terms of amenities that you might expect for a normal 4-star hotel. For example, there is no gym facility nor a pool. What it does have though is history, and they do embrace what the building used to be in a lot of interesting ways. I love how the corridors are lined with memorabilia and vintage photos detailing Harland and Wolff's shipbuilding history. I also love how they kept the many executive offices and turned them into meeting rooms. When they aren't in use, guests are welcome, in fact encouraged to self-tour them. It almost turns into a small museum of sorts, as the restored offices just keep on going, with the original entrance lobby area fully restored, and even featuring a small presentation area of artifacts. By walking this way, you'll also come across a beautiful staircase, which, if you ascend up to the second level, you'll then come across the presentation room. This too is another beautifully restored office, which actually connects 2 wings of the hotel to each other and really acts as a peaceful lounge today. Finally, Titanic Hotel also offers a somewhat new premium dining experience called the Wolff Grill, one we ended up skipping since it doesn't have great reviews. We also wanted to go see more at Belfast, and we ended up going to a small restaurant across the river called Nomadic Bar and Kitchen, which was fantastic. It was, however, quite a walk to get there, around 30 minutes, totaling nearly 2 kilometers. It's around the same to get to the center of Belfast, and if you do decide to visit, I highly suggest you do so, as the city is a vibrant, beautiful place, with a great Christmas market at City Hall. But if you do want to get a bite to eat closer to the hotel, a short 5-minute walk will bring you down to a waterside apartment complex that has a bunch of ground floor amenities like coffee shops, a convenience store, and a really cool charity cafe called the Dock Cafe, which I do highly recommend you check out. It's also worth noting that the amenities surrounding this hotel will only get better with time. Belfast government had put out a master plan back in 2007 to totally redevelop this area into a massive new district for the city. While the core Titanic-themed experience had materialized, not much else did in terms of infrastructure, though it does appear that the tides are beginning to turn. A series of new apartment buildings and a Marriott hotel are all under construction around the area, and when completed, it will surely bring more life to the surroundings and likely more amenities for both hotels. But the real amenity here is the signature attraction for this area, the Titanic Belfast Museum. While your room doesn't come with admission, you can purchase packages online at the hotel, though a standard ticket for admission is around £25. The museum itself is fantastic. It's architecturally impressive and has a lot of great exhibits telling the story of Titanic. Its design is impeccable, and at one point you even get to go on a short dark ride. But the highlight for me here were the exterior exhibits. Just outside the museum, perfectly framed by it, are the former slipways. Both the spaces where the Titanic and the Olympic were being built have been preserved, with 2-scale outlines etched on the ground. It's all pretty impressive to be able to walk down where the ships were actually being built. Even more impressive though is the SS Nomadic. She was built in 1911, specifically to be used as a tender, transferring passengers and cargo from land to ocean liners like Olympic and Titanic. She was ultimately passed around by different owners through the rest of the 20th century, ending up as a restaurant, a nightclub, and even a casino. Nomadic would return to Belfast in 2006, fully restored by the Nomadic Charitable Trust and opened as a part of the Titanic Museum. This was so cool to see, it being the last White Star Line vessel in existence, and just touring it as it once appeared was such a surreal, genuinely incredible experience for me. While all of this does come at an extra cost, at the very least, if you stay here and don't have the chance to go to the museum, you can still observe the Nomadic from the outside very easily, as well as walk the vast grounds of the area, including those slipways, all for free. So let's talk price, specifically how much we paid. For our one-night stay in an executive room with breakfast included, I paid £220, which I thought was pretty decent for a 4-star boutique hotel like this. For the very cheapest rates without breakfast, with tax included, a standard room with a double bed starts at around £107. This is while a superior room with a king bed starts at £116, an executive room like ours at £161, and a suite at £219. These are the very lowest prices I could find, and of course are all off season. Summer rates are likely to climb quite a bit higher. As for Belfast in general, well, it's a pretty cheap city to stay in. Marriott's very nice AC hotel can be had for as low as £88 a night, while the Clayton Hotel starts at around £79, and even the 5-star Fitzwilliam Hotel at £145. So Titanic Hotel does have some stiff competition. So let's break it all down and give it a score. I call my system Jake's Isn't Any Good Score, and it's based on 5 categories, each out of 10, for a potential perfect score of 50 out of 50. We'll start with the location. There's a good chance you have an interest in Titanic if you're staying here, and with its extremely convenient proximity to the heart of the current and future Titanic districts, it's perfect for that. But there's also a decent chance you're staying here with the intent to visit the rest of Belfast, and if that's the case, then it is a bit of a walk or a necessary drive. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Amenities are pretty good in some ways, and objectively lacking in others. Despite this being a boutique hotel, it has some great historical significance as well as a lovely bar. It is, however, missing some common amenities like a gym and a pool, and the attached restaurant is suffering from some mixed reviews. I suppose those lack of amenities aren't that uncommon for a downtown European hotel, but then again, this hotel isn't downtown. It's a 6 out of 10. Luxury and quality, on the other hand, though, is pretty great. There's the expected and unexpected complimentary offerings, the rooms do feel like a quality place to spend time, and the entire hotel has been very well taken care of. For the price, it's a 9 out of 10. Service was also fantastic. Staff, especially at the front desk, were very friendly and very accommodating. That's another easy 9 out of 10. Finally, there's value. At the time being, this is a one-of-a-kind hotel. And that, along with its extreme close proximity to the Marquee Museum, it's a pretty good value. However, if you're not here solely for the museum and whatever is built around it, and just want to experience more of Belfast, then the hotel does have some stiff competition. I'd just recommend going for whatever the cheapest room is at this hotel instead of what we got. But even considering the price that we paid, I think it's an 8 out of 10. That brings the total score to 39 out of 50. Really, I do love this hotel. It has such a cool vibe to it, and as someone who has an interest in ocean liners, what else could you really ask for? I think that, along with our journey across the UK and into Belfast, really made this trip something to remember. And while I'm not sure if I'll ever return to the Titanic Hotel again, seeing that I've already experienced this area of the city, and by the fact that there are cheaper options downtown, I would absolutely recommend at least a night here for anyone interested in this kind of stuff, or those who want to check out the museum and don't want to make the commute from the inner city. So thanks for joining me on my trip to Belfast and the Titanic Hotel. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are of this historic property and if you think it's worth the money. I do have lots planned for the future on this channel, so don't forget to subscribe if you like what I do. Until the next time, my name is Jake, and thank you very much for watching.